Guys, Elite Legionary here, bringing you a 2 vs 2 for Medieval 2 Total War. This time I'll be playing as the Moors, and I'll be allied with Sun Wukong. I believe he was my opponent in one of my last games. He is the Turks, and our opponents up here, directly stood on this hill, is Paro X Ismi, I think that's how you say his name. He's the Papal States, and way back on this hill is Guns Crazy, who's also featured in some of my videos. He's the Holy Roman Empire. Now, we're pretty disadvantaged on this map. I do forget the name of this map off the top of my head, but we're pretty disadvantaged because our opponents have got these big hills to start on, but our advantage is that they started so far away from one another, which means that we can work together to get rid of this Papal States player. And from the impression of his playing style, he perhaps was a wee bit inexperienced, so that's what we're trying to basically take advantage of in order to nullify that hill advantage that they've got. So my army consists of, I've gone pretty cav heavy, or I've got the full 6. I've got 2 units of Grenadine Janites. These are basically just a Moorish version of the Janites that Spain and Portugal used, but they're just a Moorish version, with pretty similar stats. And I've also got 2 units of Christian Guard. They're my most heavy cavalry, and the best cavalry available to the Moors. And then I've got 2 units of Grenadine Lancers, which are sort of in-between kind of cavalry. Still pretty effective though. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of mix it up a bit and try some different units. I'll continue outlining my force. I've got 2 units of peasants just for the screening. It's always good to have that. And I have 2 units of Sudanese gunners, which are obviously a gun unit, but they're only a medium range one. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units of dismounted Christian Guard, and I believe I have I've definitely got 1 Hashashim here, but I'm sure I had more than 1. I think I had at least 2 Hashashim, but I can't really see where the other one is. Here it is, I think. Yeah, I had 2 units of Hashashim as well. Very excellent, extremely powerful infantry, but in very small numbers. And for my missile units, I think it's 3 units of crossbows for just standard bow units. My ally here, Sun Wukong, he's got 4 Kapakulu over here. Up here he's got a unit of Turkomans, which is a horse archer unit, and his infantry and other missile units are dismounted Sipahi Lancers, some peasants there. But I think his main line's made up of dismounted Sipahi Lancers. Looks like there's a general's bodyguard there. Some Janissary musketeers. A very good musket unit, but I suspect I didn't want to bring too many guns on this map because it's pretty unbalanced. So what was happening over here, I was trying to rush some of these arquebuses here that the Portuguese player had, and unfortunately I did get one of my grenadiers routed, but I did do quite a bit of damage to them. I think I took them down from about 60. Okay, I didn't do as much damage as I thought, but I quickly pulled this unit out. The height's really working against us, but I'm just trying to distract him while we get into position as well. So if we have, here's a better look at some of my allies' units. Most of his front line's made of Sipahi Lancers, so not particularly good infantry. Some Ottoman infantry back here. These guys are a fairly good unit, very defensive unit, and I think he might have some Hashashim as well. I'm not too sure. And he's got some peasants there, and yeah, he's gone with mostly strength around his cav, I think. So basically what we're trying to do is keep ourselves together, to work together, because the Holy Roman Empire guy, his rushing, the guns is rushing, but in order for him to rush like this, he has tired a lot of his men, so that will work to our advantage. So we're just trying to disrupt our opponent. We couldn't get him to come off the hill, so we had to fight uphill, and that's going to be a pretty tough challenge. So I'm trying to pick away at some of his cav here, just trying to draw them away from up here so I can find some openings, but because it's going uphill, it's making this quite difficult. So I'm trying to see my cav in here, take advantage of any of this, but his ally Guns Crazy is onto it immediately and sending his cav in to stop me. Now their forces consist mostly of dismounted feudal knights with the Papal States. I think he's got some other units. He's got some Papal Guards, he's got those arquebusiers. and some men-at-arms and stuff like that. Now I do pretty well initially at the cav fight, but again the problem is coming uphill like this. But fortunately my ally is right there to support me. So we had to be careful though, because over here there is a couple of Teutonic Knights coming in which are very good in melee fighting. They've got a reasonably good charge, not the best but a pretty decent charge, but they've got a very good melee fighting with piercing mace and a lot of defense and attack points for that, so they're very good at that. So we'd be pretty careful with that. At this stage we've got quite a lot sort of going against us here, because we're trying to slip around and sort of come in the back, but they've worked together really well. But we are inflicting a bit of damage on them here. We are doing pretty good, even though we're actually at a disadvantage going uphill like this, and it's caused a total mess of the Papal States army, and whilst this happened we've been able to push up our other units unopposed. So that's worked out pretty well. Now I'm going to start pulling out of this, well I believe I was already trying to, but as in Medieval 2 it's not easy to pull out. Now, so obviously the Holy Roman Empire player had a lot of those. He had some raiders here by the looks of it, which he's not actually using correctly. He shouldn't even get into a melee fight like this. You want to be gunning with them just outside the melee fight. The rest of his force consists of a lot of Landsknecht and Pike Militia for his main core, pretty much. He's got some dismounted Gothic Knights. He's also got 4 of those. And he's got some Pike Militia and some handgunners, which is an interesting choice as well. So I'm going to rush up here and try and catch my opponent while he's completely off guard like this. And we do pull some of our cav out, although I think I end up losing most of mine, but I'm not too concerned. Oh no, I do pull some out down the bottom here. But I've kept my Hashashim in reserve, and I've got my crossbow militia up here as well, offering fire support. But this is proving a pretty tough fight because we had to go completely uphill and our opponents did not want to come down off it, so it was a wee bit hill campy, but it wasn't too bad. We did manage to pull some of our cav out. That fight was quite costly. We did get rid of the Papal States cav, but that Holy Roman Empire cav got a really good charge and it's very good in melee fighting, so it wasn't particularly easy to deal with. But fortunately, he's now got himself stuck in a melee fight with some dismounted Christian Guard, and these guys are really good melee swordsmen, some of the best in the game. And he didn't get a very good charge on them, so he did start to lose some of his Teutonic Knights here, and some of our cav is regrouped, so that's worked out alright. And I tossed in my Hashashim as well, and as I said, an extremely good unit, one of the toughest infantry in the game, but the issue is that they just don't have very many men in their group, and as you can see I just actually killed his general there. And I've got my guns on this flank here, and I was shooting him in the flank, and a lot of his men are starting to waver because of that. And I believe, I think my ally might have actually had some, maybe he had some he's got some Nafatoons, which is great because that'll help rout them as well. We're going pretty well. We've got them encircled up here. I've managed to push my Christian Guard up around here. But the problem here is, for them it is, his guns crazy needs to commit now because his allies starting to get routed just because we're working together really well here and they're not. As you can see, those Nafatoons are just murdering their morale real quickly in conjunction with gunfire right into their back here from my guns. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull up here, and I'm going to come from the side and he's going to come from the front, and that should enable us to beat the Holy Roman Empire player guns here, because he's still got a very large infantry corps. And Gothic Knights are very powerful, but they are a two-hander unit, which means they are susceptible to the glitch that afflicts two-hander units. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to try and get this high ground on the side here, and use some gun units and maybe some units from the front here to occupy them. The gun units to actually weaken morale, and wild missile units offer support, and then we'll come down from the back here with our cav. He's going to do a pretty good job of keeping us out with his pikes. But there's a bit of a problem with pikes in medieval two-total war, and that is what often happens when they get into this melee fight. They put their pikes away and draw a sword, and that just, as you see, look at this Landsknecht, they're drawing swords, and they're not swordsmen, they're meant to be pikemen. It's a bit of a shame because it means pikes are not as effective as they could be, so that kind of makes factions like Scotland suffer a bit. But as you can see, he's not committing these units over here, and Sun Wukong was going to go around the back and hit him from that way, and as you see, my Hashishim and dismounted Christian Guard are very good infantry units, and I easily rout that core of Holy Roman Empire units. While this is happening, he's getting some handgun shots off, but I mean in return he's getting a lot of, I got my peasants screening my guys here, so they're not getting too badly hit, and then in turn I'll just blast away with my own guys. As you can see, a lot of these HRE units are starting to flash red, which means they're routing in mass. And my infantry is just pushing away these Gothic Knights, and I rout it. We're using our cav up the back here to just get strikes in, but I'm waiting a bit there because there's a lot of pikes there. But he's got his pikes turned to face this way, and then we just come from the other side. And as you can see, a lot of these units are now starting to chain rout. So the idea here was just work very closely together to get round the hill, where we kill the other enemy general. That's the whole point of this fight. It was pretty tough though, because going uphill like that, particularly against opponents blocking you like that, was pretty tough, but it worked out alright because we have really good infantry units, better than theirs. Well, I have particularly good infantry units. And those Kapakulu, he used them well, my ally used them rather well, so I rather enjoyed my being an ally with him. I enjoyed my fight against him in the previous battle, but working as an ally with him was great as well. So these pike militia are going to get cleaned because they're facing the wrong way, try and keep out the cab. And as you can see, look what I'm talking about, they just drew their swords, put away their pikes and drew their swords. So that is the problem with pike units in Medieval 2, they don't keep their pikes out, and it's a real nuisance to them because it just makes them a lot weaker than they otherwise could be. And apparently you can do something to fix that, but it would stop you being able to play online, so it's not really worth it. So as you can see, the army just chain routes, so I'm just using my regroup cav to run stuff off, which is proving alright. But pretty much over now, so as I said, close teamwork between me and Sun Wukong basically what brought us this victory, because we were disadvantaged by terrain, significantly so, but teamwork usually outweighs most every other factor. Most times, that's not always the case, but people who use teamwork will beat people who don't use teamwork in any total war game. It's just that simple. And we worked together really well. You know, I took the flanks and he went around the back and, you know, covered with gunfire, covered with Napatoon fire. We worked together real closely, and that makes a difference. So it's always a pleasure to work with someone who will work with you, someone who will talk about ideas and you know, and as long as you don't get too hung up on ideas and then don't do any of them, because that doesn't work. But usually if you can get an ally who's, you know, helpful, agrees to plans you have, but you can also agree to theirs, and you can mix them together, it makes a really good battle plan that almost always works, unless your opponents are just as good at doing the same thing and have even better terrain or better armies or whatever. But this is a good example of good teamwork coming up against people who had even better terrain than us but just didn't work together. So basically that is this fight over. It's just chasing things down, and as you can see the timer is almost over. But I really enjoyed it. It was kind of the toughest part there was probably this cav fight around here, because I mean I'll give it to Guns Crazy there, he brought his cav in to assist pretty quickly, but his infantry he was much too slow with, so that's why they lost so badly. But I think the Papal States player was new or foreign or something, because I don't think his Guns Crazy could really talk to him or communicate, and that is a bit of a nuisance. So there's the statistics. I had the most kills there with a lot of captures as well, so that puts me well over 1,000. It probably puts me close to 1,400 actually. It's pretty high. It's actually quite a lot more than my ally. My ally played a very important role and very helpful role. I couldn't have done it without his help. And as you can see, these guys, Paro did get a lot of kills, a lot more than Guns Crazy, but that's just because of the positioning he had, and we had to go so straight up into him. But I think the most useful part of the fight was that support for them was that Teutonic cav from Guns Crazy, to be honest. But they didn't work together very closely, and it showed in the battle plan, and the outcome is ours. As you can see, my Christian Guard dismounted, very high kills. We did lose quite a lot of men, but then again they did take on a lot of men as well. So it's well worth it. My Lancers here, pretty good considering how uphill they had to go. And my Janiti, this one did very well. This one got routed a bit early. but that cab did very well considering how far up it had to go. Look, there's 119, 112, that's probably just a lot of routers, but it adds a lot to their overall score. The Hashishim are always really good if you use them right, but they are kind of expensive and a bit of a unit you have to kind of balance up whether you want to use them because of their expensiveness and the smallness of their whole unit size. The gunners, more of a morale shock than an actual do a lot of kills. That's the idea. Same with this, I imagine it's the same with Mafatoons. They usually don't actually get heaps of kills, but they cause massive routes, and that's what you want. So overall, it's all about mostly that infantry, and my actually Cav came across pretty nicely there, which was good. So good to work with Sun Wukong. It was a good fight, and good game to Guns Crazy and Paro X is me. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you soon next time.